right, hi, welcome to the foam rolling episode. What we're gonna do here is, first thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna talk about and break down some of the common misconceptions about foam rolling. First off, foam rolling is not a way to break up knots or break up adhesions or lengthen your tissue. What it is an opportunity for us to have a short-term nervous system reset. It's gonna allow the tissue to allow blood and water to flow to that area. It's gonna increase the tissue temperature. It's going to give us an opportunity to access a little bit more range of motion for our training session. The reality is mobility work and strength work are going to be the things that make a long-term impact on how your tissue quality actually is. But foam rolling is a really important aspect, in my opinion. I've watched tens of thousands of people foam roll over the years, and the feedback is 100% positive. No one's ever gotten off of a foam roller and said, man, I feel a lot worse after doing that. So regardless of different interpretations of the research, I think this is a really important tool that should be part of everyone's routine. And for a lot of people, the foam roller is an introduction to soft tissue work. Somebody who's maybe never done soft tissue work or mobility work before in the past, the foam roller is a really nice, gentle way for us to enter that arena and for us to actually get some real change. So what we're going to show you is like a 3 to 5 minute foam roll routine that I actually recommend for all my athletes, all my clients to do daily. It's just gonna really help make you feel a little bit better with your day-to-day activities, whether it's before a training session or at the end of a long day where the body's feeling a little bit sore. Maybe you've spent a lot of time sitting over your computer and you get that rounded feeling in your shoulders and your neck feels a little bit cranky. So we're gonna go through kind of a whole body routine here. We're just gonna show you how to use it over the next 3 to 5 minutes, and I hope you enjoy it. All right, so there are a million different options when it comes to foam rolling. These are real kind of the entry level. You can get these at performbetter.com. You can get them on Amazon. You can get them just about anywhere. There are lots of different variations. Anything smooth, soft is gonna work really nice. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna have Krista start on the ground, and we're gonna start with the biggest movers, the ones that are gonna be influencing our training session a lot, which are gonna be our hips and our glutes. So once she sits on the foam roller, she's gonna cross one leg over the top. And you know what, I'm gonna have you just rotate about 45 degrees so the camera can see a little bit better. Perfect. So she's gonna pick one leg and rotate it onto the top. Whatever side she crosses over, she's gonna lean her weight into that hand. Now what she's done is she's put this right hip into flexion and external rotation. So she's kind of opened up that hip space to create some access. If you've never done this before, this is probably going to be a little bit uncomfortable to start. Over the course of a couple weeks of foam rolling with consistency, things will start to feel a little bit better. We're gonna go through this at a little bit of an expedited pace so that we can get you all the information. But the reality is I would probably spend about 30 seconds in each area, just making sure that we get some good attention to each part, especially if you find an area that is particularly uncomfortable, or a term I like to use that is spicy. If something feels a little bit nasty, you could probably give it a little bit of extra time. Just do your best to kind of differentiate and dissociate whether you think this is like, hey, this tissue feels a little uncomfortable, this is probably helpful, or if it's something that's giving you real pain that you think might not be the best idea to foam roll. So after she does one side, she simply would switch everything to the other side. So the other hand would go on the ground. She'd cross the left leg over the top, lean her weight onto the left hip, and get that left hip opened up and rolling. Great, and to keep things nice and simple and smooth moving along, what I typically have people do is right from this position, they'll just pop themselves onto the floor sitting right in front of the foam roller. So go ahead and just have a seat, excellent. And now she's gonna bring that foam roller right into the lower back. She's gonna lean back over it, and I always encourage people to give yourself a big hug to really pull the shoulder blades open and apart, and you can work the whole length of the spine here. I like it when people go, you can either go for the whole length of the spine, or you can do small rolls in the lower back, then you can do some shorter rolls in the mid back, and then shorter rolls in the upper back. There's really no wrong way to do this, but again, I want us to be thinking about that same idea of finding those areas that are a little bit spicy and a little bit uncomfortable, and maybe giving those a little bit of extra attention. If you notice, Krista's kind of teetering her body weight side to side a little bit, getting either side of her spine, just giving herself an opportunity to get into all those little areas. Also from this area, one thing I like to have people do is get that foam roller into the upper back. You can go ahead and drop your hips on the floor. Bring the roller down a little bit into like the mid upper back. That's perfect. You can bend your knees a bit more. Great. From there, what I want you to do now is place the hands behind the head, bring the elbows in close together, and now keep the hips on the floor, and I want you to just extend the head and neck back towards the ground. Perfect. And then come back up. And we'll do that a few times, keeping those elbows being pulled close towards each other. That's great. What we're doing here is we're kind of working in the reverse of that computer posture, right? That driving, computer, texting, eating posture. We're just giving her an opportunity to work on thoracic extension, to bend the spine in the other direction, which is going to be really relieving for somebody who spends a lot of time in a seated and forward-leaning position. Excellent. From there, we can just rotate right into our lat area. So we'll only show it on the right side so that you can see. Krista's going to rotate to her right, and she's going to extend that right arm up overhead. Palm is going to be facing up towards the ceiling, and she's just going to do some small rolls, basically in the back of that armpit. For most people, this is probably going to be the most uncomfortable spot that you find on the body. This is where you're kind of getting into that rotator cuff complex, where those 4 rotator cuff muscles tend to come together and collect. That part of the body can be really uncomfortable, especially if you've never gotten any soft tissue work in there. Smaller rolls, and if she wants, she can even roll down through the whole sort of right side of her body, rib cage, lat area. And again, this is probably going to be one of the more uncomfortable spots on the body if you've never done this before. Next, we'll move into the quadriceps. And the quads can be really uncomfortable if you've never done them before. So I always encourage people to start by doing both at the same time. If you have a softer foam roller or you've done soft tissue work before, then you might be a little bit more tolerant of doing single leg at a time. But we're going to show you how Krista does it with both legs at a time. She's basically going to get both quads right above the knee onto the foam roller, and she's going to get herself into a plank posture. Yep. She's got her elbows sort of stacked nicely right under her shoulders, and she's just going to roll from the top of the knee as low as she can towards the hip. And she doesn't have to make it a core exercise. She can find a way to do it comfortably without having to put too much stress on her core and on her lower back. But I want her to really kind of focus on getting the whole surface area. An analogy I always like to use is that imagine if you were painting a wall with a paint roller, right? You want to make sure that when you're painting that wall, you don't miss any spots. You don't leave any parts untouched. The same idea here. We're rolling, and this can be applied to the whole body, not just the quad. We're rolling spaces in between joints, right? We're not rolling on joints. We're not rolling on the bony components of our hip. We're not rolling on the knee, but we're rolling the spaces in between the joints. And what we want to do is just make sure that we cover all the surface areas. So she can kind of, the same way she did on her spine, shift her body weight sort of left and right. She can favor one leg over another. She can just make sure that she gets all those areas. And for a lot of people, this idea of the IT band, which I just like to refer to as the lateral quad, can get really, really uncomfortable. And so you can spend some time on there, but just know that that's an area of sensitivity on the body. So it might always be a little uncomfortable. Even if you don't have a pathology or a problem with your knee or a problem with your hip, you might always have some tenderness when you're rolling on that lateral quad. And again, if that's not associated with any sort of pain or discomfort when you're participating in your activities, then I wouldn't really be too worried about it. And lastly, we'll do the lower posterior part of the body. So we'll do the lower half from the waist down. So Krista's going to be sitting on the foam roller just like that. She's going to actually let it slide down to the tops of her hamstrings. She's going to get her hands on the ground beneath her or behind her. And just like the quads, she can do this 1 or 2 at a time. If she's going to do 1 at a time, I'm always going to encourage you to slide the roller out to one side. This way your other leg can kind of control your moving back and forth without getting in the way of the roller. And again, notice how she's doing a really nice job of playing with the different angles of the hip. She's doing some internal rotation, she's doing some external rotation, just making sure that she gets all that surface area in between the backside of the hip joint and the back of the knee. And then after she does her hamstrings, she can just simply slide the roller down, and we're going to repeat the exact same strategy on the lower leg, right? She's gonna work on the calf. Same idea, rotating the foot in and out in different positions. She can also play with dorsiflexion and plantar flexion, so pointing the toes down and pulling the toes towards her face to, again, find different areas and different positions that are uncomfortable that might need a little bit of attention. If you're somebody who likes to participate in endurance sports, particularly running, this lower leg one is going to be really, really important for you to add to your regimen. So as mentioned, that easy sort of 3 to 5 minute foam rolling routine or soft tissue routine is going to be a really, really nice way to bring blood flow to the body, to different areas of the body, to move some water, to reset the nervous system and give you an opportunity for a little bit of a better and larger movement index. So once again, this is a great way that I like to encourage people to warm up for their training. One of the first things we do is we grab a foam roller and we start to, give the poor man's massage over the whole body. Also another really nice way to wind the system down at the end of the day, begin the recovery process before you go to sleep. Again, you can pick one of these up at performbetter.com, or you can also use the link that's attached to this coursework in order to bring yourself right to it.